Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other shorty. Today we're going to look at This Ends Tonight. Brilliant title. Absolutely, that on its own should be enough to grab me in. But frustratingly, I found myself not as enamoured with it as I thought it was going to be based on preconceived ideas, because Jay Lee is the artist throughout it, and I do really like what I see of his in cover art. He has this fantastic ability to do multiple things in the same art. He will put in, absolutely fabulous levels of detail, but totally understands how to use negative space. He'll do really, really rich colouring, but that negative space thing where he puts stuff on just an off-white background to highlight what you need to be focused on, brilliantly well done. He also has a very stylistic way of representing characters, so they're always his own, but they're also instantly recognisable who they're supposed to be. His Catwoman is always his Catwoman, but it's also always just Catwoman. But I was always kind of nervous about how it would work in the internal artwork, like that overly stylized, very dramatic kind of way, where, yes, they do look fantastic, but they don't really have much dynamism because they are usually static images, and yes, there may be some, dynamic posing, but there's still not a sense of motion that you follow through in a story, in a comic book kind of way. But I was quite happy to be proved wrong. For a start, brilliant use of layouts, go non-traditional, really, really messed up, chaotic action, but it matches exactly what's going on, and fantastically, at no point did I struggle to follow the flow of violence and action and the dialogue on the page. Really, really nicely done. Not long after I opened this store, I read two different books by two completely different creative teams, and both were trying to do this and failed quite spectacularly. Since then, there's people like Hayden Sherman and Cass Wingard who do this kind of thing brilliantly, and I'm now going to add Jay Lee to that list. Fantastic work. But it was the writing that actually, come the tail end of it, is what 100% dragged me in. Because don't get me wrong, the art is brilliant, the layout's fantastic, there's a fantastic almost centre spread, which Image Comics messed up the layout ever so slightly on. They did a nice big double splash, which looks like exactly how if you'd see on a Jay Lee cover. But it's the writing and how the story is put together, because first off, it's a very cool story we're getting. It is action heavy, it is violence heavy, it is very, very much every panel is moving the story along, the pacing is fantastic, but it's the stuff that happens away from that, or to explain that, or to mess around with expectations of that, which really, really grabbed me. First off, multiple occasions on this most exciting night these main characters ever had, we get to encounter other groups of people who are also on the night of their lives, very much don't worry, we know that this is really important, this is a really cool thing that's happening over here, we'll get back to that. And it's not a subtle thing, it's not done in oh, I wonder what's going on there. They kind of spell it out, but it works because that way you're not then focused on wondering what the hell is going on with these people, why were they given screen time, why would we care about them. The way that the writer just goes, nah, it's okay, don't worry, we'll get back to it, no worries, we know it's there, means it doesn't slow the flow down at all. She's just yeah, cool, I know you're going to get back to that. And then we get to the end, and when some other people have done this kind of thing, I have found it quite annoying. I've never been a huge fan of psychedelia or dream sequence stuff in comic books, or in most media for that matter. And I will criticise really good writers like Charles Soule and even Tom King for messing up stories by overdoing this. It's really hard to do, because the narrative structure of a dream is always going to be messed up, the internally consistent reality is going to be all hell. It's not going to make sense because dreams don't. They are not designed that way. It's why interpretation really, really bugs me. You can't do it where it's supposed to be part of the narrative in a way that will explain the narrative, because that's not how dreams work. So putting it in kind of feels like a waste of time, because it's either not going to explain it or it's not going to be dreamlike. The psychedelic nature, that one's more a case of I find some kind of acid trip shorthand when it comes to doing it, a little bit lazy. But in this particular case, it is brilliant, it is beautifully done, and the discovery about what's actually happening in those last few pages adds so much more depth to what's gone on for the rest of the comic book, and I genuinely want to know what's going to happen next. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what this revelation is during these sequences, because it's one of the few things which will be 100% a spoiler for you. But if you are looking to get this comic book and read it, I really hope you got the same kind of payoff that I did, because it is a damn good issue 1 that can do some absolutely amazing, over-the-top action, violence, threat and peril, brilliant characters, fantastic layouts, really good artwork, and then just do such a great hook at the end that I'm now right, I am in. I have got to find out what happens next. If I don't know what's happening next, then I'm just going to have it in the back of my head for a very long time, wondering about what the intent was and if they ever managed to pull off what they set out to accomplish. So, yeah, I'm kind of in. I'm going to absolutely have to check out the next issue. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe.